Very good evening to you. Thank you everyone for staying with us here. This is Global Television. We're live in Nigeria's capital, Abuja. I'm Uyag Mofwebe. A lot has happened between when we met here this morning on Global Morning and we had those two very incisive conversations around the issues of fuel subsidy removal and all of the implications associated with it. And then, of course, we took up time to also look at the dynamics around the ministerial nomination list and look at issues around competence and then how there could be some sort of political interference. However, the thrust of that conversation was to see how President Bola Tinubu can make the most of the opportunity he has right now to put together a very vibrant, robust, and results-oriented team. But then we also understand that there are challenges along those lines. In 2015, for example, it took former President Muhammadu Buhari 6 months between the month of May and November of the year to assemble a team of ministers and other aides, and that had very serious ramifications for us as a country across board. But today is a different kettle of fish, for lack of better words. But we're looking at how all of the challenges, all of the realities of today play out either for good or for bad, not just for the government, but for Nigeria. But more importantly, we also want to see how we can make the most of innovation as a government and as a people to get out of the woods, because as it stands right now, Nigeria is apparently not in the best of places. I'm joined by two gentlemen to help us find sense in all of these conversations here. This evening, I'll begin from my immediate rights. Of course, just two of them, one to my right, the other to my left. But let me introduce the gentleman to my right. Dr. Ibrahim Biu is the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Global Television here in Abuja. Dr. Biu, it's good to have you on the program.
Thank you.
And I also have to my left another gentleman who has a handle on many of these issues and is very passionate about seeing a better Nigeria evolve. Dr. Ali Abdullahi is the consultant to Global Television here in Abuja. Dr. Abdullahi, it's a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Great. These two gentlemen, just so I mention quickly, have a couple of things in common. One of them being that they are veteran journalists grounded in the media, broadcast media space, both home and abroad, including one of experience under their belts from a very reputable news outfits like the Voice of America in Washington. So, Dr. Abdullahi, I'm just going to get to start with you. All right, yesterday you were with Kenya Shekun here. You were discussing some of these very topical issues as well. The government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu is in office now for 2 months and counting. Is it too early to do an assessment of progress or otherwise?
Well, let me begin by saying that really the Nigerians are rejuvenated for having President Ahmed Tinubu as the president. And of course, there are a lot of excitement, pretty much in great anticipation for his ministerial appointments. And I know it's not that there is a delay. I think it's pretty much of wide consultation so that those that are going to be appointed are people of integrity, who are veteran, who are competent, who can actually deliver and do the job. I think pretty much this is pretty much what is actually that is on the focus.
Oh, great. So just before I get to Dr. Biu, I was going to ask you something around the issue of party politics, because every time you are within this, under such circumstances as we have right now, you're going to have insinuations of people within the party, vested interest, if you like, trying to influence who makes it to that list. Do you think that could also be a reality right now?
Well, yeah, it's part of it, but I think that is why they are cautious, cautious optimism, and that is why it's part of the delay. They don't want to just jump and bring anybody, so there's a lot of scrutiny and a lot of consultation. It's not partisan. I think this time around it's going to be based on competence and relevance.
Great. So, Dr. Ibrahim Biu, I'm just going to turn to you now. The President, Bola Tinubu, a lot of persons say is somebody who can be trusted with a country like Nigeria, given his antecedent, especially what he had done in Lagos between 1999 and 2007. he has made some appointments, no doubt about that, in two tranches, if you like. Would you say that is an indication of what he will do with the ministerial appointments?
Well, to start with, President Bola Tinubu, since assumption of office about 40, 50 days ago, I think has done very well so far. We have seen the structure of Nigeria. For example, the removal of the fuel subsidy, the appointment of service chiefs, the removal of the governor of Central Bank, the removal of the chairman EFCC, and a lot of other things. And moreover, he has traveled, of course, to some international conferences and being appointed as also chairman of ECOWAS. This is added advantage to his just few days in office. However, and again, as you said, some appointments like key appointment, secretary to the government, chief of staff, and some key personal assistant and special advisors. I think he has done very well in that area. However, as Dr. Ali rightly mentioned when he was talking to you, I think there is excitement and anxiety, or if I would call it even curiosity, because we Nigerians were very impatient kind of human beings. We are very, very impatient. There is a lot of consultation going on, but the curiosity is who are going to make the list of the ministerial appointments. You have observed in the past few days that a lot of lists are coming out, different lists from some social media outfits. However, the advisor to the president on communication came out clearly and said all this list of ministerial appointment and even their portfolio have been mentioned. So the special advisor to the president came out and said all these are fake news. So let's assume that it's a fake news. But the fact of the matter is people are believing that there is a kind of reality in some of the appointment. Take for example, there's a news that the former governor of Rivers State, Wiki, has been appointed, and even they said Minister for Police Affairs. So these are kind of things that people are wondering. If you look at the former governor of Rivers State, he's not from APC, he's from opposition party. So people are curious to see, is President Bola Tinubu going to accommodate party loyalists? Is he going to accommodate bureaucrats? But the fact of the matter is that I know President Tinubu is somebody that really has have a good kind of idea for Nigeria, and I believe that he's going to move Nigeria forward.
Grace, I think that's a wonderful thing to say. But just before I allow you catch your breath for a minute, I was also going to talk to you about some of the concerns that people have expressed with the appointments that the president has made so far. For instance, some people say Malam Nuhu Ribadu, fine gentleman from the police system, pioneer chairman of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. He has made his mark, if you like. But some people say that the security and defense community will have an issue with him, or will have issues with him, because he's not from the core military background, because there's a tradition where you find that most NSAs, I mean national security advisors, virtually all of them have come from the armed forces, particularly from the army. Do you see that becoming a problem?
No,
Intelligence collaboration?
I don't see any problem in that at all, because appointing somebody as a national security advisor constitutionally we don't have anything that says it has to be a military personnel. Is at the prerogative of the president. The president can decide who to appoint at that particular position. So Nuhu Ribadu is somebody that played a key role in the police management of this country, and also he played a key role as chairman of EFCC. So I don't see anything wrong in appointing Nuhu Ribadu as a national security advisor. More so, if you observe carefully, when he was first appointed, he was appointed as presidential advisor on security, and after a week now or few days, they moved it to national security advisor. So it's kind of very, very interesting. And to be honest, the president has really, if you look at the setup of the service chiefs, he has carried every segment of the society, particularly all the zonal part of the country into question.
Yeah, let me just add to that.
By all means.
Yes, the people have to understand that the security is about intelligence. And also Nuhu Ribadu has that experience, and it doesn't say that it has to be from the military. In fact, in the past, we have remarkable NSA who are from the police FI. Gamba Jamaita was one. Ismail Agorozo, these are people who hold that positions, and they are from the police background. So it's not that it has to be from the military. And again, it's about intelligence, coordination, and
gathering.
Exactly.
It has nothing to do with military at all.
Great.
It has nothing to do with military. It's all about security gathering. It's military, to me, my understanding of military is more fighting, or I don't want to use the word fighting, but the security advisor's position is more of advising the president on the security situation in the country. It has nothing to do with it doesn't have to be a military personnel.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Talking about all of these issues around the idea behind appointing Malam Nuhu Ribadu to be the NSA, many persons have said that President Bola Tinubu is a man who is known to defy convention. All right, so he wants to break out of the norm and do something innovative. I mean, something radically innovative, that is. When it comes to the appointment of ministers proper, by the way, we hear that a list has been forwarded now to the National Assembly, and then, of course, with their portfolios and so on and so forth. But let's look at the diversity of Nigeria, whether it's religion, whether it's ethnicity, whether it's geopolitical zone, and so on and so forth. Do you see all of those elements posing a challenge? Because, we're always going to talk about the federal character elements.
Well, you see, the President Tinubu is somebody that is very sophisticated, very savvy, and he understands the dynamics of Nigeria. And again, of course, I don't want to say that he's going to have a coalition government or what have you, but more of a unity government, bringing everybody. He's the president of everybody. So that political gimmicks about geography or party, I think is not part of the style. It's pretty much of bringing everybody on board and people that will make difference. That's basically what it is.
And then I was going to also talk to you about the issues around members of his party. All right, there are people who had defected from the PDP and other parties to the APC in the build-up to the general election of 2023. All right, and when people defect into a party, a ruling APC, so you're going to be hearing legacy APC members and the new APC members, and then of course that will play into determining who makes it to the ministerial list and so on and so forth. Do you see that depleting the APC?
No. I think it's going to it's based on merit this time around. Like we said, in fact that's part of the delay. They don't want to compromise mediocrity. Whoever is coming, who is making it, should be somebody that will represent Nigeria, somebody that is patron with integrity, trusted. This is basically what it is. Politics is society. It's no politics now, no partisan, but more of a unity government. And I think that is what the new administration is profiling, propagating.
All right, great. So we're just going to remind everyone that we have basically an opportunity for you to contribute to the program. All right, we're going to put up a number on your screen right now, so you can call that number, make your contribution, weigh in on the conversation. Let us know what you think about the ministerial lists and several other issues, including, for example, the implications of removal of fuel subsidy. What has it been like for Nigerians? What do you think about the palliative together by the federal government to be able to to alleviate the suffering associated with this policy? And then we break it down to the sub-nationals. All right, what are the states doing? What are the state governors putting in place for their own people? Because Nigeria does not belong to President Tinubu alone or the federal government. You have 36 state governors, and very soon we are going to have FCT minister, and then you have local government chairmen, at least across several states in this country. What are they bringing to the table with regards to this conversation? So we need to look at that as well. Okay, so I'm just going to talk to you now. Let's move away from the issue of ministerial nominee lists because we see that happening real soon because we have seen from all indications that the president is working around the clock, working hard at it to ensure that The list is not only released, but he gets the right specs and the right holes and so on and so forth. But let's talk about the fuel subsidy, because that again affects everybody top to bottom. When the fuel subsidy removal was announced by the president, there were agitations, people were apprehensive, and then there were those who spoke out against it. But the president was very clear from the get-go that the fuel subsidy must go. Now it is gone. The other day we heard the federal government has saved 400 billion naira from it. What have you been thinking about all of this, Dr. Biu?
Well, to start with, I think President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a very calculative person. And I don't want to use the word radical, but I think he will do his homework, and once he believes that this is right and for the interest of the country, he will go ahead. If you look at it, let's look at the little background. When he was campaigning and was choosing his vice presidential candidate, the Muslim ticket became an issue. You know, there was patching from here and there about the Muslim ticket. But he came out, you know, and said, look, I've nominated a Muslim, so be it, for the good of the country. Now the whole thing is calm. So the same thing will go about the fuel subsidy. It takes a strong president to take a decisive decision for the interest of the country. And then he took that decision that fuel subsidy should be removed. Look at the removal of the governor of Central Bank. These are people, governor of Central Bank, chairman EFCC, vis-a-vis cashless society and the printing of money and you know, this confusion. You know, he took a decisive decision, you know, in removing the governor of Central Bank, in removing the chairman of EFCC, in making sure that the issue of cashless society masses. So I believe strongly that President Tinubu is somebody that after carefully considering issues, he will take a hard start and he will stand by his point.
Great. So before I get to Dr. Abdullahi, I was just going to ask you again about issues of transparency, because in Nigeria it will appear it's more talk and less work. Do you see that happening with this government? I mean, where we're able to track, because remember, Dr. Biu, that the president has said that whatever monies are realized from the removal of fuel subsidy will be channeled into 3 key areas. He talked about, for example, infrastructure, he talked about education, and he talked about health. And we all agree here that these are 3 very vital aspects of our lives as a nation. Do you see us being able to track all of these monies from the top to the bottom?
Well, with President Tinubu, I think he is going to be, he will do well in that, because he's somebody that really listen to both sides, look at all issues, and take